Hello students, in this video we will discuss and learn another important concept of managerial economics, that is demand forecasting. In the previous videos we have discussed demand, concept of demand function, factors affecting the demand, and law of demand and other concepts. Now we will understand what is demand forecasting. So demand forecasting is the estimation or the prediction of the future demand for the products or the services at a given price at a specified time is known as demand forecasting. Here the word forecasting means estimation or prediction in the future is known as forecasting. Demand forecasting means estimating the demand, predicting the demand, or identifying the demand for the products or the services in the future is known as demand forecasting. Here demand forecasting is also one of the significant concept of managerial economics or economics, which plays a very important role in order to take the decisions related to the production, purchase of raw material, purchase of technology, purchase of machinery, or distributing the finished products to the market, and pricing, fixation of prices on the finished products, and so on. So these are all various areas where the forecasting, demand forecasting can play a very significant roles. Now let us see here what are the definitions of demand forecasting given by the different economists. So according to Cundiff and Still, demand forecasting is an estimation of sales during a specified future period based on proposed marketing plan and a set of particular uncontrollable and competitive forces. It is, according to Still or Cundiff, it is an estimation of sales in terms of products, or services during a specified future period. So specified future period means it may be 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or 1 year or more than 1 year. So here we are estimating the demand for the products or the services in a specified period. We need to specify the particular period, whether it is for 1 month or after 3 months, after 6 months, after 1 year, based on proposed marketing plan. This estimation or forecasting or prediction is based on proposed marketing plan. How the marketing department or business is planning respected to the marketing the products, based on that we need to specify the period, accordingly estimate the demand for the product, and a set of particular uncontrollable and controllable forces. See, future is always uncertain. So in these uncertainties and a competitive market, we need to estimate the demand for the product, estimate the demand for the products or the services, or predicting the sales in terms of units, predicting the demand from the customers in the market at a specified period is known as demand forecasting. In the words of E.J. Douglas, demand forecasting defined or demand estimation defined as a process of finding values for demand in the future time periods is known as demand estimation or demand forecasting. According to this person, It is a process. It is not a single step or the single stage or taking directly decision on estimating the demand or taking the decision on demand, quantity of demand in the future. It consists of different stages. It consists of different process. It includes different levels. It is a process of finding values for demand in the future time periods for the products or services is known as demand forecasting. Simply we can say that demand forecasting is a process of predicting the demand for the organizational products or the services in a specific time period in the future is known as demand forecasting. Means we need to predict or we are predicting the demand for organizations products or services in a specified time period, 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months and so on. That is based on the marketing plans. Whatever the plans we have made in the business, accordingly we will estimate the demand for the product. And and also we can define the demand as demand forecasting is, it is the prediction of future sales. It is estimation of future sales. And demand forecasting helpful for both new organizations as well as also the existing organizations in the market. It is not only confined or restricted to the existing organization, and it is also used for estimating the demand for the new markets also, or the new organizations that are going to establish in the market. And demand forecasting helps in the organization to take the various decisions. The decisions are related to purchase of raw material, purchase of raw material, or purchase of technology, or purchase of machinery, or procurement of various factors of production, or hiring manpower in terms of labor and employees and so on. While taking the decisions in these areas in the organizations, also the demand forecasting technique can help or plays a very significant role. Based on the estimation, the demand for our product in the market, we need to start the production process. So how much quantity to be produced, based on we need to purchase how much quantity of raw material to be procured, what is the technology to be adopted or purchased in order to produce the qualitative products to increase the demand, what kind of machineries to be purchased or acquired in order to produce the qualitative products to meet the demand or taste and preferences of the customers in the market. And also the various factors of production other than these raw material, technology, machinery. Other than this, there are various factors of production that are directly or indirectly using to produce the product. The decisions related to these area also, the demand forecasting technique play a very significant role. At the time of hiring the labor, at the time of hiring the employees, at the time of hiring the skilled or unskilled people in the organization, this technique can play a very significant role. And here the demand can be forecasted by the organization either internally by making estimates called guess estimates, or externally through the specialized consultants or the market research agencies. There are two types of estimating the demand for the product in the organization. One side, that demand forecasting can be done by the people who are working in the organization or business from internally, or Here in another side, there is various expert agencies in the market who are exclusively working on these forecasting the demand for the products or services. So for these agencies, we need to give your product, your problem, your organizations, your quality of the products or services, and objective, and the market segment or the target people. So if you provide all these information to these people, they are automatically, they will conduct a survey or they will investigate the market in order to provide the suitable suggestions to the business in order to take the decisions in the business. So here simply we can say the demand forecasting is, here it is a process of estimating the demand for the organization's products or the services at a given price, at a specified period of time, is known as demand forecasting. So this is the definition of demand forecasting. Now let us see the characteristics of demand forecasting. As we have discussed different definitions or meaning of the demand forecasting, demand forecasting is the estimation or predicting the future demand for the products or the services of an organizations at a given price for a specified period is known as demand forecasting. So based on the definitions discussed, we have find some of the characteristics or the features of demand forecasting. So these are the different characteristics of demand forecasting, such as simplicity, accuracy, reliable, flexibility, economy, availability of information, and universal applicability. Now we will discuss one by one the characteristics of demand forecasting. The first one is simplicity. Yes, here the simplicity is one of the feature of the characteristic of demand. Any method of demand forecasting can be said well only when it is has the merit of simplicity. If it is includes are related to difficulty, or if the managers or the experts feels difficult, then it is not possible to estimate the demand for the products or the services in the market accurately or efficiently. So whenever it is easy and simple, then only possible to get accurate information about the products from the market in order to interpret the results of the data collected by the people. So here simplicity is one of the important character of demand forecasting. The second one is accuracy. Yes, this is a very important character of demand forecasting. A method by which we can get the accurate forecasting will be more useful. If there is no accuracy, if the data that we have collected from the market and interpreted and it is not accurate or suitable to the business or the products or the services that we are producing, then there is no use of the data and the interpretation, and there is no use of this estimating the demand for the products or the services in the market. So here it will help the business managers to take the decisions during upward and downward fluctuations in the trade cycles. Yes, here we have already discussed in business cycle concept. In any business there are some fluctuations, that is upswings and downswings will be there in any business in their lives. So here during these fluctuations, upwards or the downwards, here we require to estimate the accurate demand for the product. If not, there is no use of applying this concept of called demand forecasting in any business. The decisions, the forecasting must be accurate, which is suitable or relevant to the business operations or the marketing plan. The next one is reliable. Yes, reliability is also one of the most important in any business in estimating the demand for the products. The reliability of the method will also make it more accurate in drawing the inferences or the interpretations from the data collected and analyzed. Such method will also be accepted generally in any business. If it is not reliable, it is not suitable, and it is not possible to draw the inferences or the interpretations of the data collected and analyzed, not possible to estimate the accurate demand for the products or services we are producing. And flexibility, yes, here as we have uncertainty in the business, fluctuations in the business, that is upswings and downswings in the business. Here whatever the method we are using to estimate the demand for the product should be a flexible. A method of demand forecasting should have the feature of flexibility, so that necessary changes may be made during the study period when there are fluctuations in economic activities. See, for example, if you want to estimate the demand for the product for the period 3 months, so at the time of at the time of initiating the estimating the product in the market for the 3 months, there may be some changes in the market which is not like earlier. So during this period there may be some fluctuation, there may be some changes in the market in terms of prices of the products of competitors, in terms of quality, in terms of quantity, in terms of various factors of production, right? So here, due to this reason, there should be a flexible in estimating the demand for the product according to changes in the market. During this period there will be a changes in the decisions or estimating the product in the business. The next one is economy. So the method of demand forecasting should process the merit of economy. It means it should not be expensive. See, there should be a less time, money and energy involved while calculating the demand forecasting, because here it is required not only for the multinational companies. Estimating the demand for the product is also required for the small scale organizations or the small businesses. Or in other words, it is not only required by the joint stock companies or the companies, but also it is required for the entrepreneurs to estimate the demand for the product in order to survive in the market for a long period. So any business, irrespective of nature, irrespective of scale of operations or the size of organizations or services or the products, business need to estimate the demand in order to create the demand for the product, in order to get the demand for the product in the market, in order to meet the demand in the market. So here economy means the method that we are adopting to estimate the demand includes a less expensive, should be merit of economy. Otherwise the small scale organizations or the entrepreneurs may not able to afford to take up or the adopt that kind of methods. So based on the methods, based on the nature of organization, size of the organization, we need to select, we need to choose a suitable or appropriate method of demand forecasting in order to estimate the demand for our product in the market. The next one is availability of information. A good method demand forecasting is one in which the information to be collected is easily available and when required. So when required, the information by the information will be ready in the market. So all the variables should be quantifiable. In such a situation, the business managers can take the decisions on time. So whatever the data we are collecting, whatever the data is available, whatever the information available in the market or collecting from the market should be quantifiable. It should be quantifiable means it should be in a form of measure in order to take the decision. It should be in the form of applying the various mathematical or the statistical tools in order to analyze, to draw the inferences or the interpretations. The information should be in such a form, in such a way to estimate the demand for the products or the services. The next one is universal applicability. A good method of demand forecasting should have universal applicability. It should provide the same results or inferences in different situations provided the variables including in the study are the same. If the variables are the same, the business may be a different. Still, the same method may applicable for all the businesses, irrespective of businesses. If the variables are the same, the method may be suitable or the applicable. Therefore, it can be treated as a universal applicability, irrespective of business, irrespective of quantity, quality, factors of production that we are using to produce the product, policies of the organization. If the variables are the same, then this kind of methods may be applicable for every business, subject to condition if the variables are the same. So different situation provided the variables included in the study are the same, then it can be applicable. So this is what universal applicability. So these are the some of the characteristics of the features of demand forecasting. What are they? Simplicity, very simple and easy. Accuracy, accurate results should be given. Reliability, should be reliable or the suitable for any business. Flexibility, there should be a flexible or freedom to change the decisions or the process at the time of forecasting the demand during the period of forecasting. Economy, less expensive. Availability of information, the information which is available to forecast the demand should be a quantifiable, should be measurable. And universal applicable means whatever the method we are adopting here, if the variables are the same in different businesses, may be suitable or applicable. So they are the different characteristics of demand forecasting. Now let us discuss what are the different types of demand forecasting. So based on the characteristics, nature of the demand forecasting or different factors, we can classify the demand forecasting into different types. Here the methods are different from the types of demand forecasting. Methods means the methods that we are directly applying on various areas or in various areas to estimate the demand for the products or services. Type means here the method or the type that we are applying various areas based on the level, based on time, based on the nature of products. Now here we will discuss different types of demand forecasting. On the basis of demand forecasting, we can classify into three types, that is level of forecasting, based on the time period, based on the nature of products. So based on the level of forecasting, the demand forecasting is classified into three levels: firm level, industry level, and economy level. If the business or the organization estimating the demand for a particular company, means this forecasting process is confined to only a particular company or organization, such kind of or such type of demand forecasting is said to be the firm level demand forecasting. In terms of sales, in terms of purchase of raw material, in terms of prices of factors of production, in terms of prices of various other sources, can be estimated for a particular firm or the organization is said to be the firm level demand forecasting. The second level of demand forecasting is industry. So industry level forecasting. Here industry is the group of companies which are producing the same product. The group of companies which are producing the same products or the services is said to be the industry. So estimating the demand for a particular industry is said to be the industry level demand forecasting. For example, here there are three companies which are producing the similar product, cement. Let us take an example here. These three companies are producing the cement: A cement company, B cement company, and C cement company. If you are estimating the demand for these companies individually, that is demand for estimating the demand for A cement company, estimating the demand for B cement company, estimating the demand for the C cement company individually, that is comes under the firm level demand forecasting. If you want to estimate the demand for all these three companies together in terms of number of units demand in the market, in terms of purchase of raw materials altogether, and other factors of production, this is what called industry level demand forecasting. Here we are not estimating the demand for only the single company, but the group of companies which are producing the similar products in the market. Estimating this industry, cement industry in the nation or the market is known as the industry level demand forecasting. The third level of demand forecasting is economy. So the aggregate demand for the products and services in the economy as a whole is anticipated, or in other words, irrespective of the nature of the products or the type of product or the type of industry, if we want to estimate the demand for the products or the services as a whole in the economy, is said to be the economy level demand forecasting. Let us take an example here. There are different sectors or industries in the market. Right? Here, for example, cement industry, sugar industry, steel industry, and other industries. See, if you are estimating the demand for the individual industries separately, that is called as industry level demand forecasting. So irrespective of nature, if you estimate the demand for all the industries as a whole, in order to estimate the economy of the nation, is known as the economy level demand forecasting. All the industries comes under this case of economy level demand forecasting. So the difference between these three levels of demand forecasting is, firm level means individual companies demand forecasting, industry level means group of companies which are producing the similar products, estimating the demand for those companies particularly is said to be the industry level demand forecasting. Economy level means irrespective of nature, irrespective of companies, irrespective of products, here estimating the demand for all the industries as a whole in the nation is known as economy level demand forecasting. This is level of demand forecasting based on the level, or demand forecasting based on the level. The next one is, the second one is time period involved. Based on the time that is taking, firm is taking, industry is taking, or economy is taking, governments are taking to estimate the demand, is said to be the demand forecasting based on the time period. So here some companies may estimate the demand for less than 1 year, then some companies estimate the demand for the between 1 to 5 years, and some companies may estimate the demand for more than 5 years. So based on the time period involved in forecasting the demand for the companies or the industry or the nation is said to be the demand forecasting based on the time period. So based on the time period, demand forecastings are classified into three, that is short term demand forecasting, medium term demand forecasting, and long term demand forecasting. If this estimating the demand for the products or the services in the market less than 1 year is known as short term demand forecasting. If you are estimating the demand for the products or services in the market between more than 1 greater than 1 year but less than 5 years, is comes under the medium term demand forecasting. If it is greater than 5 years, such demand forecasting is comes under the long term demand forecasting. This is about the demand forecasting based on the time period involved. The next one is based on the nature of the products, features of the products, durability of the products. So here, based on the nature of the product, estimating the demand is known as a demand forecasting, or based on the nature. So here, based on the nature, the goods are classified into two, that is consumer goods and producer goods. Consumer goods are the goods which are available in the market, which will give immediate satisfaction after consuming or using, is known as consumer goods. Estimating the demand for these products or the services is known as consumer goods demand. So here, these goods that are meant for the final consumption by end users are called consumer goods. So whatever the goods are ready for consumer, ready for the consume, whatever the goods are ready for use, which will give the final satisfaction to the consumers, is known as consumer goods. Estimating the demand for these products called as a consumer goods demand. Whereas producer goods demand, or also called as capital goods demand. So producer goods demand means the goods which are available for further production, the goods which are ready for further production. Such products or the goods are said to be producer goods. Estimating the demand for these products is known as a producer goods demand. So for example, tractors used for cultivation, and machineries used for further production, technology may be used for further production, and the prediction of higher demand for the consumer goods would result in the anticipation of a higher demand for the capital goods too. So demand for these goods are known as a producer goods demand. Right? Here consumer goods demand means the demand, estimating the demand for the goods or the products which will give immediate satisfaction to the ultimate customers or the final customer, is said to be the consumer goods demand. And producer goods demand means estimating the demand for the goods or the products which will used for further production, is known as producer goods demand. This is about the types of demand forecasting based on the different types, that is level, time period, and based on the nature of products. Now let us see the various steps in the demand forecasting process. As we have seen in the characteristics of demand forecasting is a process. It is a process which consists of various steps or the stages or the levels in order to take the best decision in forecasting demand. So here they are the different or common steps included or involved in estimating the demand for the products or services, such as specifying the objectives, determining the time perspective, selecting the method of forecasting, collecting and adjusting data, and interpreting or inferencing the outcomes, that is interpreting the analysis of data analysis. So they are the common steps of the process which we are following in forecasting the demand for the products or services in any company or the industry or at a economy or in the national level. So the first one is specifying objectives. See, if you want to estimate the demand for any product in the market, or if you want to estimate any services in the market, first we must define, first we need to define what is our objective. What is our objective? The purpose of demand forecasting needs to be specified before starting the process. We must have an idea. We must have an idea about what is the purpose of forecasting the demand. And the objective can be specified in different areas. Whether it is a short-term demand forecasting or the long-term demand for the product, or industry demand, or demand for specific to an organization, or the demand for specific to a firm, or demand for specific to an industry, or demand for specific for particular target people or the segment in the market, or and others. So we must have to define what is the purpose, what is the objective of this demand forecasting. So this is a very important step or the stage initially that we need to be completed. We need to have certain objective. Without having any idea, without predetermined objectives or the aims, we cannot go for further steps, whether it is short run or the long run demand, or the for the industry or for the company or particular segment in the market, where we are going to conduct the survey in order to estimate the demand for the product. That is very important step in demand forecasting. The second one is determining the time perspective. So once you have been completed setting the objectives for the forecasting the demand, immediately we need to determine the time. We need to determine the time or the period, whether it is short run demand or long run demand or medium term demand. If you want to estimate the demand for the product or services for less than 1 year, that comes under the short run demand forecasting. If it is between, means that is greater than 1 year, and less than 5 years, that is comes under the medium term demand forecasting. If it is greater than 5 years, means the time period required to complete the forecasting the demand for period of more than 5 years, then that is comes under the long term period. So here, after setting the objectives based on the nature of organization, based on the changes in the market in the past and at present, in order to estimate the future changes, based on that we need to determine the time that we are going to take to estimate the demand for the product, whether it is less than 1 year or between 1 to 5 years or greater than 5 years. That is also very important. And the next one is selecting the method of forecasting. Yes, this is a very important stage or the step in the process of estimating the demand for the products or services in the market. Selecting or choosing the method of forecasting or adopting the method of demand forecasting in order to estimate the demand for the products in the market is a very important. So there are various methods available in the economics in the methods of demand forecasting, but we need to choose, we need to select the appropriate or the right method in order to estimate the demand. So here, while selecting the method of demand for forecasting, we require to understand what is the nature of the product, what is the scale of operations, what are the raw materials available, what is the quantity available, what is the quality of the products that we are producing, what is the price of the product that we are fixing for the product, and many other factors are affecting on selecting the method of forecasting. If you are aware in all these factors, then you may able to take or adopt the best method of forecasting. However, all the methods are not suitable or the reliable for in all the businesses for all the products, but it is different based on the nature of the product, price of the product, quality of the product, and availability of the product, and taste and preferences of the customers towards this product, purchasing power of customers in the market, and so on. So all these are the factors affecting selecting the method of forecasting. Based on all these, we need to choose. Not only these, the objective that we have established and the time period that we have taken also affecting in selecting the method of forecasting method. The next one is collecting and adjusting the data. So after selecting the method of forecasting, we need to collect and adjust the data in the business. So here, once you have completed the selection process of forecasting, we need to understand, we need to go to the market in order to collect and adjust the data accordingly the marketing plan. So the data can be gathered either from primary sources or the secondary sources or both. Means primary sources means directly you can approach the customers or the consumers where you want to collect the data in order to analyze the data and interpret the results. Whereas the second source of data is a secondary source, means here collecting the data which is already published or available in the books or records of the companies. Means here in this case you need not to approach any customers in the market to collect the data, but you can collect the data from already published records in the business. So either of these two you can consider in order to collect the data. As data is collected in the raw form, it needs to be analyzed in order to derive meaningful information out of it. So all the data we can call it as raw data. We need to segregate, we need to make it keep it in order in order to start analysis. Once you have collected, we need to adjust the data. Adjusting means keeping all the data or information available in the business, that is collecting through primary or the secondary sources, keep it in order which can be used, which can be available for applying various statistical techniques to analyze in order to interpret the results. So the next one is interpreting the outcomes. Yes, this is also very important. Interpreting the analyzed data is not a simple task. Based on the methods that we are applying, based on the techniques that we are adopting, we need to interpret the results. So different techniques or the different tools has different styles of interpretation of the data, analyzed data. So after data is analyzed and it is used to estimate the demand for the predetermined years. Generally, the results obtained are in the form of equations which need to be presented in comprehensible format. If you are not in a position to interpret the data that you have analyzed after collecting, then there is no use of doing all these steps, completing all these steps. So interpreting the outcomes or the results of the analysis is also one of the art. It is not the simple task. If you are able to interpret or inferences the outcomes, then you can able to estimate the demand for the product accurately, which is reliable, which is flexible, which will gives the fruitful results in the future. So my dear students, these all are the steps which we are using in forecasting the demand, a very important concept in examination point of view, that is steps in demand forecasting, such as specifying the objectives, determining the time perspective, selecting the method of forecasting, collecting and adjusting data, interpreting the objectives. Each and every step has a unique significance. You should not avoid any one of these steps in this process.